Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your masculine, feminine, and non-binary energy update for today, Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first three cards in the headspace of the masculine? Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. Two more cards, please. Excellent. We've got the Nine of Cups in its reversal in combination with the Hermit card in its upright, in combination with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing right now in the masculine headspace. So I want to describe that what we've been seeing right now, especially with a lot of this energy, I feel like a lot of the masculine headspace is deep in that modality of still going through Jupiter in Cancer with Uranus in Taurus. So this is working through a lot of those modalities or experiences by which there's a lot of inner child healing that's effectively occurring or coming out through these experiences right now. Now, the one thing we're also identifying is working through the context of being able to finding healthy ways to effectively energetically express upon the space by which we navigate the heart space. And I keep on getting, the difficulty with the emotions is emotions can sometimes feel there's this misorientation in the identification point that emotions cloud judgment. Emotions do not cloud judgment. Emotions fortify judgment. Because the ability to effectively recognize or identify or to feel the capacity of the things that we energetically feel, it allows the space by which we're able to effectively articulate or identify or work through something in such a way that it allows us the context of energetic clarity. And I keep on getting that for a lot of the energy right now of masculine, I feel like there's something important that's working through the context of being able to energetically face our feelings. Because what happens in the context by which we're able to face our feelings, we're able to effectively identify or recognize what feels energetically, like what allows the space by which it's the space by which we're able to bring that sense of emotionality to life in the world around us. And so I feel like there's something really important there, because I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that or facilitating upon that work, that ability of effectively, like, I keep on getting, like, the word that comes through is the modality of understanding the it's like masculine that's learning to have gratitude for their emotions is what I keep on seeing, right? And if saying that, if something about me saying that like triggers, like, that's what I mean, right? Like the modality by which we identify or work through, like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, I see, it's not the ability of trying to be like, I just need to get better at getting rid of them, is what I keep on seeing. Everything we have is a gift. And a lot of the space by which we work through the emotionality that we feel, and this is what's beautiful, is and I need to point this out, okay, and this is what I'm seeing with masculine energy. Here's the thing. When you've got emotions and you push them away and you push them away and they push them away, here's the thing about it. It's an act of energetic suppression. And then when they overwhelm you, what happens when they overwhelm you? Then you do something that feels so far afield from who you energetically are that you don't recognize yourself when you feel the emotions. But it's a space by which, like, that's what happens, right? Like when you work towards energetic suppression and you push and you push and you push, and then, like, it's not if, it's just when, right? Like it's just not if, it's just when, right? They have, you guys are going through an Aquarian lesson, which makes sense. Pluto and Luna are like this in Aquarius right now. And that's an Aquarius lesson. Aquarius lesson is like, I'll just put this in the closet. Nobody will see it there. Like, I'll just put the emotions there. Everybody, and then one day they boom, like they strike, like they come out of nowhere. But when we're working on processing them, when we're working through the space by which we just allow them to come through, and then we allow them to be resolved, and then we allow them to come through, and we allow them to be resolved, like, look how beautiful it becomes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's the work that we do to make sure that we're not bottling things up, because when we bottle things up, right, it creates explosive situations in our lives, right? And so this is why we talk about, and I feel like this is important because I feel like this is a lot of the masculine energy that is working through the context of healthy, I keep on hearing, healthy communication that allows or permits the energetic facilitation in relationality to what it is that we're aspiring and desiring to do better. And in the modality, I keep on hearing, in the modality of working through the context of, I keep wondering, in the modality of working through the context of the self, I feel like I do see a lot of the masculine energy working into the space of potentially holding, like, I feel like there's a lot of deep, like, experiences that are happening here in the relationship. Like, I keep wondering, in the difference between the masculine having a healthy relationship versus aspiring for an energetic counterpart that can just take an unhealthy one. I'm going to say that again, right? The modality of being able to aspire for a relationship that is built upon healthy communication, rather than the desire of being able to navigate or look for someone that can just energetically take a bad one. So we see that for a lot of the energy kind of working through that, I feel like there's there's a lot of that. I keep on hearing, it's interesting because it's like, it's a hermit card, but it's a hermit card that is, it's a hermit card that's energetically like looking, or like looking at the, like surveying the energetic experience of the self, right? And this is why we can often articulate, we can tell the healthiness of the energy within by looking at the state of those energetically surrounding, right? Right. It's working on, it's like, I feel like there's a lot of that work that's happening in relationality to working through the auric lessons there. Continuing to move towards feminine energy. And for feminine energy, we're going to be utilizing the Aquarian Tarot, Italian version. 3 cards, please. Highest priority messages. Whoa. Whew. See how fast those cards came out? Can I get one more, please? Yeah, and they're cantilevered, so we're going to talk about that too. Double, whoa. Double, we've got double aces in the feminine energy space. Again, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I keep on getting, listen, and I feel like this is what's happening with a lot of the feminine energy here. Here's the thing you have to recognize. We don't, right? The space, never do we give up on ourselves more than when we give up on each other. Which is, I feel like I see a lot of the feminine energy that is working to heal. They're working to heal unhealthy cynicism. And this is why these two ace cards are cantilevered on top of each other. And I need to describe this, right? Because this is the energy of the feminine, says everything is possible to repair so long as the work is proportional. And the modality by which you recognize, like the modality by which you recognize that the ability to incline oneself towards healing. I keep on hearing healing is an inclination, but when you incline too far, then you don't allow energetic healing to occur, is what I keep on seeing. So for a lot of the energy, effectively working through or doing work in that nature, in that experience, that ability to effectively energetically articulate or to effectively define. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of those relationships, that modality or experience of effectively amplifying or articulating upon, I keep on seeing the inclination to effectively heal, but not allowing the space by which one gets frustrated in terms of what you can energetically expect. Because I just keep on seeing that the space by which, like the space by which we work, like the space by which one works through, like the space by which one works through our own frustration, right? Is and I keep on getting healthy cynicism is the modality and the experience by which we recognize and identify upon what we've experienced in the past, but we hold hope that what before us is better than what's behind us, is everything that I keep on seeing. And for a lot of the energy doing that work, I feel like the space by which the space by which they're working. And did you see how soon as I started reading for it, like I had to start clearing my throat? Like the space by which we don't, like the space by which we don't lose hope in things, or the space by which we ourselves identify, and I keep on getting this, we don't articulate that the problem is entirely outside of the self, right? We never come into the modality by which we articulate and say the problem is always energetically on another person, right? It's the modality, and I keep on seeing this. We don't do this in the context. We've worked to heal this in so many different contexts, right? The work that is proportional. But when we articulate, like when we talk towards counterpart and we identify and speak towards it, and I think that this is interesting because this is the feminine that's working into holding an aspirational view in relationality to what they aspire to see within counterpart, right? Because those modalities or those experiences by which we start to feel, like I keep on getting the space by which we allow our energetic dread to get the better of us, is the modality by which we start to build into unhealthy relationship. And so I see that for a lot of the feminine energy, it's working on, like I keep on hearing, it's like it's working on that sense of proportionality and working to heal, right? Like working to heal a lot of the guardedness. I keep on hearing the difference between guardedness and protectiveness is coming through in the space of feeling energetic confidence for the self, right? So there's a lot of that, there's a lot of that energy that we see that is working through those modalities and experiences. And I really like this for the energy of the feminine because it feels like, how do I describe this? It feels very much like working on not feeling the need to energetically like rush through things, but to allow I keep wondering, like to allow the pace by which something can organically evolve, or just allowing, like it's building into the context of the presence of the self. Now, reading into non-binary energy, we'll be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego, headspace of non-binary, please. 3 cards. Ooh, 7 of Swords in its upright. 2 more, please. 7 of Swords, cantilevered, 5 of Pentacles in its upright, in combination with 5 of Wands in its upright. So I feel like there's something there. I feel like there's something really significant and important that we're energetically defining right now. And I keep on seeing, particularly and especially in and I think it's interesting because I almost feel like there's a lot of energy of non-binary talking about relationship as sanctuary is what I keep on hearing. Now, the thing we have to recognize with relationship as sanctuary is the observation that the modality by which we feel energetically like, and I keep on, and this is what's beautiful about the concept of relationship as sanctuary, the space by which we can be seen in our authenticity and loved there, right? Like that is what we effectively aspire and desire in healthy relationship, not the energetic fabrication point of the self. And here's the truth about it, right? The world that is around us is often the modality by which we feel like we cannot necessarily move towards it as energetically vulnerably as we would effectively aspire to, right? It's the modality by which, and unfortunately, and this is what we talk about making the world a better place, like the space by which we can be energetic sanctuary points for one another is the proportionality by which we recognize and understand the sanctuary that we hold within ourselves. Because when we purify the sanctuary within the self, then we purify the sanctuary outside of the self. So that modality, and I feel like it's a conversation that's happening in relationality to the feelings that not two emotions are alike. That often those who articulate upon the fact that their feelings need to be honored haven't done the work of sanctifying the feelings within the sanctuary of the self. And how do you sanctify the feelings of the self? You move through the feelings that you have to articulate whether there's healthy directions attached to them. Because when you got feelings, right? When you got feelings, but you don't like, I see that. It makes me feel like this. And being like, well, why? What would you like to be done? I don't want to see it. Why? Like, there often the more feelings, like when you have a lot of feelings, but you can't articulate why, everybody else sees a space or a need to do shadow work, right? I'm not confronting something. I feel very uncomfortable. I don't know. This makes me feel very confused. Right? That's rattling the chains, like rattling the chains that bind oneself into the lack of understanding of the self. So one person is sitting there going, boogie, boogie, and they're all upset, and everybody else sees them and is like, do you need to think like what is happening within you? Right? It's the modality by which we understand that, and I keep on seeing like the modality by which we understand or recognize that volatility, right? And here's the thing about it, the difference between volatility and passion, right? Because here's the funny thing about passion. True passion makes sense. True passion, there's an explanation behind it. Listen closely and you'll find the passion, right? Volatility is often, those who claim to have passion often just have volatility, which is just an energetic eruption of feeling without being able to effectively articulate upon it. Now, the modality by which we're able to effectively articulate or define, like sometimes I keep on getting the modality by which we navigate jubilation, right? The space by which we energetically navigate jubilation is often fortified in the space by which we feel the feeling of energetic jubilation to such an extent that we can't feel that we can contain it. And sometimes in the modality by which we go through that, we work through the understanding of the self because it effectively helps us to energetically be informed upon something that we didn't even realize within the self. But the difference, and this is why it's so important that you do shadow work if you're going to be kind of building into healthy relationship, that when we're working into the modality of what we find within, right, relationship becomes either a sanctuary of all of the work that we've done within ourselves to effectively build into that sense of healing versus those modalities or experiences by which it feels like we effectively, and this is the problem with it, right? When we haven't done our shadow work effectively, being in relationality can feel like our love that does not feel like love. It's a space by which another person just takes all of their shadow work out upon us. So that's why I keep on seeing this is a conversation, and I keep on getting this. This is a continuation of what we were reading for in the last reading, which is the observation of the energy that works on into the authenticity of the self, because that authenticity has protected them from being able to tell the difference. Continuing to get clarification, moving back into the masculine energy, can I get 3 cards for the heart space of the masculine? And we're going to be utilizing for the heart space of the masculine right now, we're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego. Yeah, that feels right. 3 cards, please. 2, 3. We've got the Hierophant in its reversal. We've got the Priestess, High Priestess. Woof. And we've got the Ace of Cups in its reversal. Wow, those are some cards, man. Okay, let's get to it. And I want to stress this, like what we're effectively identifying, and I need to point this out. And this is what I keep on seeing, especially I keep on getting in the space of masculine that's working to heal the heart space. And this is the hard part that I see a lot of the masculine is working through. When we're not in a healthy relationship, being in relationship feels like being in perpetual trial, right? When you're not in a healthy relationship, it feels like you are in perpetual trial, which is someone being like, this is a test. It's the modality by which someone does not work into the context of being able to energetically heal to a certain extent, right? The space by which we're able to amplify or articulate upon the openness of navigating circumstances or situations. So I feel like there's, and this is the problem with it, right? Because I see that a lot of the masculine energy is working through, right? Like working through, and this is what we can expect on the outs, coming out of like Sagittarian energy, right? Coming out of Sagittarian energy, that with like all of those, like the new moon in Sagittarius, with all those planets in Sagittarius, but then also like also Saturn and Neptune coming out of retrograde, the modality by which we allow ourselves to heal from that, right? It's the modality by which we build into the space of being able to trust one another, is what I keep on seeing. And that modality or that experience of like building into the beauty of an energetic relationship where trust is key, right? It talks towards the fact that the trust that we create is one that is always amplified or energetically articulated in relationality to the clarity by which we articulate our own energetic choices upon things. It's almost like the modality that says how easy it can be with someone that one builds into that space of trust with. But the modality, the hard part about it is when those modalities or experiences happen in unhealthy modality experiences, and we open ourselves up, right? Like the space by which we open up to each other in our vulnerability, right? The same thing that will allow for the blossoming of a healthy relationship will lead to the breakage of an unhealthy one, right? And so this is why I see that for a lot of the energy of the masculine, this is the masculine that is recognizing that their authenticity, so long as, right? So long as, with the caveat, so long as we have the caveat of the authenticity that is equally shared in proportionality with the authenticity of those around the self, right? Everything has a caveat. So the space by which we understand that our authenticity is fortified by others who get to share within it, then it becomes, our authenticity becomes the trust that becomes the act of energetic generosity that we give to those that surround us. It's a space by which we're able to effectively articulate upon that feeling of energetic expansiveness. So we see that for a lot of the energy doing that work, this is the energy, like this is a lot of the masculine that is doing the work to effectively let go, like to try to, and I know it's hard, it's like to try to let go of, like it's trying to let go of the energetic feeling of having to control things all the time, right? Because that's what effectively happens in that modality or experience. But it's hard, right? Because controlling things makes you feel safe. It's like, this is what's so difficult when we're working on healing those modalities of trust. So it's something that I see is like, you know, and I want to point this out, like, I feel like I see a lot of the masculine energy, like doing it in proportionality. And the beauty about doing something proportionally is like that ability of being able to, energetically recognize or identify upon those experiences by which we're able to amplify and share. I keep on seeing that they're holding themselves in a state of compassion even as they try to navigate those difficult journeys. Moving back to feminine, can I get 3 cards for feminine? And we are going to be utilizing the We're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck for the heart space of feminine right now. Again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. Two cards. Oh, we got four cards. Four cards right now for feminine. The Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. The Six of Cups in its reversal. Oh my gosh. The Emperor card in its reversal. And the two of Swords in its reversal. Oh Lord. And I think that there's something, here's the thing about it. I feel like there's something important there in relationality. And it's funny too, because like with all of this cantilevered energy, there's like, it's like, I keep on getting this like hands on the hip position that I see that feminine is kind of working through. And the reason I keep on getting that is, you know, I feel like this is a lot of the feminine that, and I feel like it's interesting because the energy of the feminine is very much, yeah, that makes sense. It feels very much like it's shielded is what I keep on hearing. But I keep on hearing shielded and healed, which is the modality of, I keep on getting like, the reason I keep on hearing shielded and healed for feminine is the modality of the feminine that works on, I keep on hearing, that works on their own bravery for the sense of those energetically surrounding the self, is what I keep on seeing. It's giving, and actually I have to stress this is what's wild about it. Like as I said that, like as I energetically said that, like there was actually a fifth card that came out that I didn't even see behind the other cards of the feminine. If you're a tarot nerd, make sure that you head over to the stack today to see today's spread, because it's wild how many cards popped up in the heart of the feminine. But it's a lot of that, like I keep on seeing, it's a lot of that energetic protectiveness. Like it's giving me a little bit of the energy of the feminine. Like I don't know where Leo is right now, but it's giving me a little bit of this, like if you want to get through my love, you have to get through me first, which is like but I keep on seeing like the modality by which, and I need to point this out, this is what the feminine is energetically working, like this is what the feminine is energetically working to heal to a certain extent. Because, and I keep on getting I keep on hearing the difference between guardedness and energetically protectiveness is the space by which we find bravery in ourselves to energetically confront things, right? And I feel like that's what's interesting about it. Like feminine's got in the heart space right now a lot of brave energy. And I feel like the brave energy that we effectively see is working into, right? And I need to point this out. We look towards ourselves, right? We look towards ourselves to be energetically brave, right? And the hard part about that is when somebody else, and this is what's so frustrating for feminine. And I need to point, like, I need to stress this. And I feel like this is a lot of the feminine working to heal this, and even the observation of this. Comparison is one of the most messed up things that one could ever bring towards another. Because why would you worry about comparing yourself to anyone when you're too busy, like, comparing yourself to anyone, you miss out on being energetically exceptional, right? Like that's all I keep on hearing from the modality of the feminine, which is the observation of like the space that when we're so busy, like when energy's so busy looking like this and this, you're not looking over there, right? When you're so busy going like this, you're not looking over there. Like the ability by which we can effectively aspire higher is one that we don't build into the context so much of the anxiety and fear of energetic comparison. And I feel like there's a lot of the feminine that's effectively working on that, but it's hard, right? Because this is almost the feminine feeling the frustration of a lot of trauma occurring as it relates to unhealthy energy, right? And what will unhealthy energy do? Unhealthy energy will compare you to things. But what do we compare? And this is the important thing we recognize. Things, right? When everybody is energetically exceptional, There's nothing worse than trying to energetically compare a thing to a thing, because we are all exquisite energy. No one is alike, right? No one is alike. So, and when somebody energetically compares us, what we're really seeing is a desire within another person, something that they need to heal, because it's the observation that they're viewing the world from the state of objectification, right? That the modality or the lesson to be taken when you see someone energetically comparing you to another is the darkness in another person's heart by which they see another and say, it looks kind of like the same thing, right? It's the modality by which we understand. Now, like the modality by which we understand and recognize the work that we effectively do in terms of being able to heal from wounds of that nature, right? And so I feel like that's really hard, because I feel like that's a lot of the feminine that is working on healing from not only the modality of objectification, right? But also the experience of feeling like the understanding that that is the source of comparison, right? Because when you compare something, you're holding qualities to it that another person doesn't aspire to. It is your entitlement that is showing, right? The entitlement of a perspective in terms of what one considers an ideal view. And then the ability of the feminine to see that. And instead of feeling the need to strive to it, to work to energetically release and relinquish it, right? There's a lot of that energy that almost is into the modality of understanding that when you work towards being exceptional, prepare to hear the sound around you everywhere of energy articulating their disappointment, right? That is conditional to the experience of being able to find who we truly are. And so I feel like there's a lot of that energy of the feminine that's working through that, but it's not easy, right? And the space by which it's not easy is effectively, like I keep on hearing, the space by which they're working to resolve it within so that they can energetically heal it without. This brings us to the non-binary energy heart space. We're going to be utilizing the Aquarian Tarot. 3 cards, please. 2, 3. Thank you. We've got the Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. We've got the 7 of Swords in its reversal. And we've got the King. We've got the King of Pentacles in its reversal. So, man, again, if you're a tarot nerd, make sure that you take a little peek if you're listening to the podcast today's spread, because man, those 3 cards in the heart space of non-binary, which is this, like, this is the energy that says respectfully, I don't need to and here's the thing, and this is why, like, I feel like a lot of the non-binary energy is working upon, like, it's working upon the space of other people's misconceptions. Like, I feel like this is a thing about the non-binary energy has had to work through this. That when we are the modality by which we work through and experience another person's opinions, unless they are true, unless there is a grain of truth in them, right? Like, the only time another person's opinions about you should ever, 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 ever matter is the modality by which there's something about it that energetically rings true, right? And that's the difference. I keep wondering, like, that's the difference between critique or criticism. Those modalities or those experiences by which we sometimes go through, like, working through something. And I keep on seeing, like, I feel like it's hard because for a lot of the energy, like a lot of the energy of non-binary energy in the heart space, it's coming into the understanding that I keep on hearing the world isn't cruel, but someone who hasn't healed will be the cruelest person that you've ever met, because they look upon the world with a sense of dissatisfaction in terms of saying, why doesn't anything please my eye, right? We should not be in the space by which we work to energetic. And often those who work through the space of saying, why isn't, like, the world is not pleasing to the eye, does not do the work to say, what could I do to beautify it, right? Right? It's not the space by which they see energetic ugliness and they say, wow, what if I did something to make it a little bit energetically better? That the world is energetically cruel because of those who articulate, who move around and go, yeah, I don't like, yeah. You know, it's a lot of that type of energy. So that's why I see that for a lot of the energy doing that work, right? It's working into the space of not necessarily being super energetically bothered in relationality to another's distortions unless, right? Unless something feels unless something feels like one is working to resolve or do something energetically better, right? That is the difference between a critique and a criticism, right? And a criticism is often the space by which we tear something down. We tear something down specifically because it doesn't energetically please us. And that's often the space by which we recognize that the work that needs to happen is the work within the self. The critique, right? The critique, and this is what I love about this energy adores critique, which is like the energy that says give the critique, because the critique is the idea or the ability of trying to refine upon something in an even bigger way, right? The modality by which we're working towards something in a way that we can effectively energetically advance or articulate upon it. And the work is like the work of a relationship is like it starts in small ways and then it builds up greater, because if we're constantly in the space by which we're criticizing instead of critiquing, right? It's the modality by which we're working through the space by which we're identifying the space of improvement. And I feel like this is what's beautiful about the relationships that the energy is working to facilitate, because I keep on seeing like they're either in separation, right? Working upon the journey of the self, being in, like I keep on seeing they're building into the relationship that they aspire to by becoming. This is why we talk about the work of the self as being good with the self, right? But not being in, and I feel like it's building into patience, and at the same time potentially feeling that same amount of healing in terms of potentially being in partnership, because it's the energy that allows, right? It's the energy that effectively allows for that sense of, I keep wondering, definition and redefinition, right? The modality of effectively feeling like one is working towards something, and that it's not, I keep on hearing like the relationship that doesn't feel like a stagnant place, but a place of continual energetic evolution, right? And I feel like I keep on hearing like that is the energy that feels that I feel like that is the energy that works towards that adaptability, particularly as it relates to not feeling the need to have to over explain the facets of an energetic connection, is what I keep on seeing, right? So there's a lot of that work that I see in relationality to that, continuing to get clarification, moving back towards the unconscious space of masculine energy, and we'll be utilizing the, where is it going? I'm looking for the Aquarian Tarot for the unconscious of masculine right now. Can I get 3 cards to clarify? Thank you. Oh, that one card really wants to be in the center space, but okay. We've got the 6 of Wands in its reversal, the Tower card in its reversal, and the 9 of Cups in its reversal. But what's really interesting about this, and I need to stress this card does not want to be, the card does not want to be on the 3rd pillar. It wants to stay in the center. And I think that there's something important related to that, because, and I keep on getting this. I'm gonna say this for masculine energy. If you're looking back on past experiences and you're beating yourself up about something that you recognize now, congratulations. Congratulations, because that is the sound of wisdom getting in. We wince when we receive wisdom, right? The modality by which we experience something, and we navigate through the difficulty point, or we navigate through the uncomfortability that we energetically feel. Like often that is the feeling of wisdom getting in, right? Like that's why we call it wincing. We wince when the wisdom comes in, because it's the space by which we understand that there's something that we could be doing better, right? It's the space by which we resolve upon something that we could not energetically see before. And the shape and nature of energetic reality is such that some things can only be energetically seen in hindsight. And that's okay, right? Because when we allow that context of observation, we're not so hard on the self, but we're able to navigate something in a way that we feel energetically, like energetically stabilized in relationality to what we're trying to build forth towards another. And that's what and I need to point this out. This is why when I tried to pull, and that's why I encourage you, if you are a tarot geek like I am, make sure that you look at today's spread, because this is the work that I see masculine trying to do. They're trying to do, like masculine is trying to do their shadow work, which is the space. And that's why I keep on seeing, that's why I said this card does not want to be in the third position, because it's the energy that articulates, it says, if I do my shadow work, then I don't put the shadow work on the counterpart, right? There's no greater gift. It's the gift of nothing. It's the gift of nothing. It's the gift of not needing, it's the gift or the energy of the relief, right? Is of the relief, imagine of the relief of the counterpart that does not feel that there is a catch, is what I keep on hearing. Imagine the energetic relief of a counterpart that is not just waiting and being like, oh, this is so nice. This is so nice, right? Because that's often what happens, and this is what happens in the energy of masculine. Like, why are you so worried? Why do you look so concerned? It's not because, right? It's not because energy does not wish to be afraid. But if there's experiences by which we feel, right? The experience by which we feel like someone hasn't done their shadow work properly is the moment you're like, hi, do you want to be like, like the modality by which everything is great until it's not, until it's awful, right? And so this is why we see that a lot of the masculine energy is like, it's doing the shadow work, right? Making sure that the energetic shadow work is kept up, and understanding that shadow work is just a very heavy word for the work that we work to avoid within ourselves, right? Like the ability by which we energetically resolve that. We don't allow it to build up. We process, right? And this is the thing about it. That's a nice thing. Like when we do a little bit at a time, it allows us to be able to redefine our own experience or how it feels to be around each other. Because what is the greatest gift we give each other? They're so easy, right? And that's what we see. Like and here's the thing about it. When we work to be easy, we know how hard it is to be easy, right? Like it's the hardest thing in the world to be easy, because that sense of ease, right? The ease that we bring to situations is a sense of peace. And that sense of peace we can only find if we've done the work within. Peace is never peaceful. It requires a lot of that heavy work that we do within. Moving towards feminine. 3 cards for feminine right now. Highest priority messages, bottom of the deck, please. And we're going to be utilizing, and again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. Can I get 3 cards for feminine? And we'll be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego for the heart space, the unconscious space of feminine. And again, those 2 cards want to stick to each other. So we're getting a lot of that right now. We've got the 8 of Swords in its upright, along with the 6 of Wands in its upright, and we've got the 8 of Cups in its upright. Double 8s. And again, this is very important, especially if you look at yesterday's read. We had a lot of energetic parity that was effectively occurring in relationality to pairs of numbers. So we've got a lot of numeric pairing that's happening here as well. And let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing there in relationality to the 8 of Swords with the 8 of Cups. But I have to point out, and I need to stress this, like the 8 of Swords with the 6 of Wands and the 8 of Cups in proximity. And like I said very much before, those 2 cards came up and they wanted to hold on together. Now, there's a lot of the work. I feel like it's giving. I feel like for a lot of the feminine energy, It's like, remember when I said that hands on the hips kind of thing? It's really articulating upon the space by which we say, like, help me help you, right? And when we identify or we work through circumstances or situations by which we're effectively like ready, like navigating the articulation point of feeling the sense of energetically disappointing. I feel like there's something about the feminine that is I feel like it's the feminine that's like working into the context of rejoicing in the space by which they energetically disappoint. But I keep on getting and I need to articulate this. The energy of the feminine saying, and this is where I see a lot of the energy becoming holding compassion to the self, right? Because this is a lot of the feminine that works towards the space of the feminine that says, there's only one person, right? There's only one person in this experience that we talk about the space of disappointing ourselves. And this is what's important about that. That does not create a sense of selfishness, because when we energetically care about, right? When we energetically care about those that we energetically hold close to us, right? Then that becomes inclusive in relationality to holding, right? Holding an energetic endearment point in relationality to how we feel in navigating others' disappointment in us, right? It's the amplification of energetic care that occurs in the space by which we feel that sense of compassion. And so I feel like there's a lot of that energy that this is where a lot of the shadow work of the feminine is coming through, right? The shadow work of the feminine is the energy being like, you know, like it's a lot of the energy that works through that, like others just like navigating through others' disappointment, and the feminine just being like, you know what I mean? Like it's a higher self of the feminine saying, like, if you want to be energetically exceptional, prepared, the song you will hear around you is, I'm disappointed to hear that, right? And when we navigate others' disappointment, it has to be proportional in what they were energetically expecting from us, right? So I feel like there's a lot of that energy that works in that capacity. And I feel like there's a lot of the energetic compassion that they bring to themselves, specifically and particularly because this is the feminine healing from situations or circumstances by which they experience the space of being pedestalized. And what happens in a pedestalized partnership, right? It's the modality or experience where everyone, right, where someone hasn't done their shadow work properly and they just pin their hopes on all of their healing coming from the source of the counterpart, right? The right person will fix me. No, they won't. And in fact, the space by which you articulate and say the right person would fix me is usually the space by which we identify that we're putting too much expectation in relationality to what we anticipate and expect from counterpart, right? The responsibility, the right person will enhance you, right? The right person will energetically challenge you. The right person will help you energetically excel, but it won't change you. And in fact, the modality by which we often enter relationships, by which we are experiencing the sense of desiring to be changed in relationship, what does that usually speak towards? I don't effectively care about, like, not the space by which we feel the compassion towards ourselves. Because why would you want? What is effectively articulated within you that one feels the need that someone else has to fix it? Right? When we work towards the energy of resolving that within, we find that energetic care without. And I feel like there's a lot of the energy that is effectively working through that modality, potentially even helping others with it to a certain extent, right? There's a lot of that. And I keep on hearing the proportionality of the trauma, right? The proportionality of the trauma of being in a modality by which energy feels the need to energetically compare. It makes it harder. Right? It makes it harder to do, right? Because it almost feels like the feminine that has to navigate often situations or circumstances by which they feel that they're given very, very energetically confusing directions, right? And so that's a lot of the modality of the feminine that, again, when working through confusing directions allows the fact that directions are confusing to help them understand the shape and recognize what it is that they're working to heal from. Because I feel like that's a lot of the feminine taking energetic, logical approaches. But what's beautiful about that, I keep on hearing logic-based compassion, which is the space by which we understand that when we come towards each other, the gift that we give is the clarity, right? Because that is the space by which our love feels like it is energetically helpful, and also what the feminine is aspiring to see in relationality to healthy counterpart. So there's a lot of that work that I see here. And I want to point out what's interesting about what's interesting about what we see in terms of the masculine unconscious space, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, and the Eight of Cups that we see in this particular representation, we see that, again, it is almost very similar to that Tower card in its reversal, right? We do the work within so that others don't have to. Now, this brings us into the non-binary energy. Can I get 3 cards for that, clarifying the unconscious of non-binary? We'll be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. 1, 2, 3. We've got the Knight of Wands in its reversal. We've got the Five of Pentacles in its reversal. And we've got the Knight of Swords in its upright. And I feel like there's something very energetically important that we see is potentially occurring, specifically as it relates to the unconscious, which is this is more the journey of the non-binary energy working through the modality of relationship. And I keep on seeing, like, especially with that Five of Wands in it, Cups in its Pentacles in its reversal, with the Knight of Wands in its reversal and the Knight of Swords, it's a further continuation in relationality to, and it's interesting too, because I feel like for a lot of that energy, there's something really important that I see the energy needs to navigate in relationality to what, like, and I keep on getting this, like, energy, like, I feel like there is a trigger point by which another person holds someone to a point of endearment that they have energetically traumatized, is what I keep on seeing. This is what's so difficult about a lot of that energy. The space by which they work through the modality, by which they are actively trying to heal from an experience or a circumstance by which another person holds an endearment point on something that energetically traumatized them, right? Because the modality by which another person, and I keep on saying the modality by which another person works through the experience of the unconscious, right? It has to do, like, the space or the place by which I keep on hearing, we work through, we don't work out. And what does that mean? We work through, we don't work out, which is the modality by which we shouldn't say, oh, this is my partner, they're great, they put up with anything, right? Like the modality, like the modality by which another person articulates upon the energetic benefit being the level or capacity of the unhealed parts of another that someone can take, right? The modality, this is often what we see in the context of unhealthy love, like someone who builds a point of endearment in relationality to another person tolerating something, but the modality by which they're energetically tolerating it does not feel like they're moving into the space of their dreams. It feels like the modality by which they're working, they're having to navigate. And this is why we do, the work to effectively try to heal the self, so that our love feels like love, so it doesn't feel like another person energetically putting up with us, right? Because the modality by which we navigate each other is the space by which we help each other find our energetic exceptionality. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, having to heal from situations by which another person literally, like literally move through an experience, and then potentially tries to build energetic sentiment in relationality to the space by which they hold an endearment towards us. But we have to be in the modality by which we articulate upon the fact that we're actively healing from that endearment, right? That is the effective experience that we often have in relationality to the understanding that we do the work internally so that others don't have to, right? We do the work internally so that others don't have to. And we're not perfect at that, right? None of us are perfect at that. There's always those modalities or those experiences by which we could do something a little bit better. But that's what I keep on seeing in relationality to a lot of the healing that is happening. I literally see situations, and this is the condition by which the energy has had to work through. Energy that will be in the experience of healing from a relationship by which another person articulates that they're nothing but an energetic burden until the moment they move away from it, at which point another person says that you are their everything. Which one was it? Right? But often, and that's the hard part with those who have not come into the space of healing, right? The modality by which they articulate that the make it make sense, and the modality by which another person articulates that another's their everything, except in the space by which they come into proximity to them, and then they articulate upon the fact that they feel energetically burdened by them. This is why a lot of that energy has worked into the space of understanding that we can hold our care at a distance, right? That the space by which we keep our hearts from being hurt is often the space by which we understand the distance that we have to keep those that aren't necessarily ready to energetically receive it. And that modality or that proportionality and being able to do so, I keep on seeing it's not the space by which we feel that sense of energetic hardness, but the modality of recognizing that the quality and condition of our love is subjective in terms of how we perceive that we're giving it, not in another person's reaction to receiving it. So that's what I keep on seeing, that for a lot of that energy, it can feel very hard because it's a modality by which I keep on getting, not only do they have to recover from the distortion of someone receiving their energetic love and articulating that they felt burdened by it, but the space by which they're making healthier choices and moving away from something. And only then, right? Only then in proximity does someone start to articulate about how much something, how energetically important something was or how significant it was. So I feel like for a lot of the energy doing that work, it's like I keep on hearing healthy relationship holds their hands in the present, right? It doesn't speak upon where they aspire it to go or where it used to be. It's the space by which they articulate and amplify how much it energetically means to be in that modality of the present. Bottom of the deck on this reading, particularly and especially with the 9 of Wands in its upright. I feel like moving into that space. Like this is why a lot of that energy works into the conditionality of holding an energetic guard up, right? Because for a lot of the energy kind of working through holding that guard up, I keep on seeing that this is the energy that often feels like, I keep on hearing they have to move through the energetic world twice as guarded as those that are around them, because they recognize that their authenticity brings out, right? It brings out, and this is what happens. Like this is why it's so important that we work towards our authenticity. Our authenticity brings out the shadows in others, right? That when another person is inhabiting their authenticity, and we haven't done the work in ourselves, right? The modality by which another person builds into the context of the emotions that inspires, it talks a lot towards what's within them rather than what's within us. So those modalities, I feel like that is the energy that often, like I keep on hearing, they move through the world twice, they move through the world twice as guarded specifically and particularly because they've recognized the modality by which they amplify upon the energetic reaction that is energetically surrounding them, right? Those modalities. And I keep on seeing it's like the guardedness for good reason, because that's the guardedness that often comes from an amplification or abundance of energetic experience. This then brings us to the masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. We're going to be utilizing, this is bottom of the deck, Tarot del Fuego, the Six of Cups in its reversal. We make grievous mistakes when we don't know ourselves, right? The wounds that we carry are often carried in moments by which we lose a sense of who we are, right? The space by which, I keep on hearing, your emotions are your friends. But if you don't deal with your emotions, they'll become your greatest enemy, right? The modality by which the emotions sneak up on us, right? The modality by which we sometimes experience, and I feel like this is what's so hard for a lot of masculine energy. When we talk about, and this is why masculine is working on healing themselves, because you are set for disaster in an experience that teaches you not to feel your emotions. And then you'll meet someone who inspires all of them in you, and you won't know what to energetically do with yourself. You'll break it. You'll ruin it. How could you not? How could you not if you haven't spent time or you haven't been effectively in the modality of learning how to energetically process through them? So I feel like there's a lot of the energy that's working through that. And I feel like there's a lot of deep ancestral healing that's potentially occurring there too, because it's the modality by which one feels the energetic responsibility to not only have to do the work for the self, but also recognizing and identifying those experiences by which another person told you that that was the best way to handle it, right? When in what context has anyone ever told you, the best way to handle it is don't deal with it? Yeah, I don't know what those are for. I don't know what those emotions are for. You should just shut them off. It's usually, I can show you how to shut them off. It's great. Yeah, they go away. They don't go anywhere, right? You can't create or destroy things. Emotions don't go anywhere when you turn them off. They control everything when you can't see them, is what I keep on seeing. For feminine energy, bottom of the deck. We got that High Priestess coming out. And here's the thing. Listen, I know you feel the desire saying I could do it myself, but that's also the sound of you giving up on everything around the self. Right? There's nothing worse than the sound of energy articulating the lack of energetic need of another. Everything, everyone, everything is energetically precious. The modality by which we feel like I keep on seeing the space by which we articulate the energetic desire to be able to effectively do something, right? The modality by which we recognize or navigate through our own energetic competence point. It's not about the energetic competence point in terms of being able to do something. It is the beauty that we have in energetically creating or expanding or articulating upon that modality. So I feel like for a lot of the work of the feminine is, I feel like it's working into the energetic shape of identifying or articulating upon the beauty and the significance of a journey that is energetically shared, right? And it's the work that we do, like I keep on hearing, the work that we do to articulate upon the inclusivity is often the space by which we don't articulate our energetic distaste in relationality to what we find in another. And I like to point this out. Feminine, this is the responsibility for you to heal. Because I'll tell you right now, we don't accept it when it comes to creed. We don't accept it when we talk about race. We don't accept it when we talk about the physical appearance of others. Why do we articulate that it's okay to define the fact that we've energetically given up on a whole different energetic gender? Right? The modality by which we articulate that our words are blessed and the ability to effectively amplify the hope that we have isn't the modality by which we articulate our rejection and disappointment in relationality to what we find. And if it's not okay to do to a race, if it's not okay to do to a creed, then it's not okay to do in the modality of articulating to another a whole half portion, right? That is the modality by which we bring each other, we help each other through things. We don't effectively articulate and say that they're the energetic reason why. Well, for non-binary, that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, please remember that it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site, so I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone who participated in our recent class on the judgment card. That class is now available to paid Stack subscribers. If you would like to join our next tarot class, it will be on Thursday, January 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the World card, the final card in the Major Arcana. It's going to be a very exciting class. If you'd like to become part of that tarot class program, just head on over to my Stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. You will also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my Mystic Meditation articles there, which will give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically. I just wrote one recently on this wild new moon that we just experienced. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings. Again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase a series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again